I'm just really trying to find me. It gets more harder day by day, but I'm close to see.
A booster.
Yeah, I know. Okay, that's good.
What's going on? How's everybody doing? This is Aware Hafiz. Everything is School. Episode 22, I believe. Yeah, episode 22. Been doing a lot of work on other things, so I have taken a break from it, but I feel like this is one of the best Everything is Schools that I've ever done. So I have NISHA ARORA here today.
Hello, how are you?
She is the candidate to be the next judge. So that is big for me from where I come from and what I've been through in life. So how you doing today?
I'm good. I'm good. I got my coffee.
Yeah.
We're gonna have a good conversation.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. So I'll start my interview off like I start off all of them. How's your day going?
So far, so good. We have 14 days left until the election. So as everyone can imagine, it's a little crazy, but it's crazy in a good way.
In a good way.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just talking to your associate here. She was like, y'all been doing this for 6 months straight.
Yeah.
6 months.
We started, so I decided to run in, it was the end of January. By February, we were having meetings, and then it was just like full force from then. So, sometimes when you put a thought out in the universe, the
manifestation,
how fast it can come back to you. So be careful what you wish for.
Yes.
So this has been fantastic. Literally, I came home from work one day. I looked at my husband and I said, "There's a judicial election in November. I think I want to run for judge."
And that's how it started.
Mm-hmm.
That's like amazing. Like that's how it started.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. And I talked to your husband too. He's a very good guy. So like I want to know like where'd you start? Like as far as because there's steps up to being to a judge. Like give me like the schooling.
Okay, so I'll start at the beginning.
Yeah,
okay?
let's do that.
So I grew up in Clark Summit,
yes.
And I went to Scranton Prep. I went to Abington till 8th grade, and then I went to Scranton Prep for high school. And then after Scranton Prep, I went to Georgetown for undergrad. I majored in government, and I finished all of my government classes early. So I've always loved photography. So I did a photography major also because I had some extra time.
Yes.
I think my dad would have preferred if I just graduated early and saved him some money, but I didn't want to give up my 4 years of college. So I did that, and then I was I got admitted to law school. I went to Villanova University School of Law in Philadelphia, outside Philadelphia. So I spent 3 years there. I graduated in 2006.
Okay.
And then I moved to London and got my master's degree in law, and it's called an LLM, and it's a secondary degree for attorneys. We get your JD, and then you can go get your LLM to specialize in a field of law.
Yes, London.
Mm-hmm.
Wow,
yeah.
My best friend actually lives in London. Shout out Allison, but go ahead, carry on.
Yeah, hi Allison, I miss London. I really, really loved living there. My focus was in international business and arbitration, and my original plan was to stay there and work in shipping law.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, the economy didn't agree with my plan.
Yes.
And I think the exchange rate was $2 to the pound at the time, so it just was no longer feasible to be there without a secure job, and the law firms went on hiring freezes, so I came home, and my plan was not to stay here, just to make a little pit stop and move on, but I ended up getting a job as a law clerk in the Court of Common Pleas, working for Judge Borace, who does all criminal law. And he runs the specialty courts also. So I was there with him for almost 3 years. And then, again, my goal was to move away and go to New York or Philadelphia. And then I was recruited to work at a family law practice, a local prominent family law practice. And literally I left my clerkship. I was at Starbucks for my first day off in forever, reading a magazine, drinking a coffee, and I got a phone call. "I need you to come here now because I have a case I need you to work on."
Yes.
And I went, to Dunmore, walked in the office, and I never left. So
And
5 years later,
wow,
I left.
wow. Yeah, I know Judge Brace actually. Like I was like younger, when I was younger. Nobody believes this. Like they know me today, and then they're like, no, that never happened. But yeah, I was like a troublemaker when I was a kid. Like so, I ended up getting like sent up to this Abraxas like drug sellers program or whatever. And then I came home and I was on drug court.
Oh,
And,
wow.
Yeah, I was on drug court.
Okay.
And then I ended up like messing up on drug court and I just couldn't do it no more. Like I couldn't do it. So I wrote him a letter and I'm like, I'd rather just stay here. So then he ended up sending me upstate. I was 19 years old. But everything can turn around for any kid that goes through like a little bit of trouble. Everything can turn around for you. For sure.
Sometimes one bad decision leads you down a path. And I think the treatment court, drug court especially, is a very intensive program.
Yes, it is.
And we all know that hard work reaps results.
Yes.
So the graduates do see good results, but you have to put the work in, and there's a certain amount
Discipline that it takes too.
But there's also
Rewards, definitely.
And you kind of need to be ready to make that commitment.
Yeah, I wasn't ready. Ready. Like he had me like running around the lake with him at 7 a.m. and stuff like that. Like he meant well, you know what I mean? Like I never hold any resentment, you know what I mean? Because everything that happens in your life is for a reason, you know, and that made me who I am today. So it was definitely something that I needed to go through to get me where I'm at today.
I'm a
so
true
it's pretty
believer
cool.
in that.
Yeah.
Everything happens for a reason.
It does. It does. Even this.
We always wonder, why do we have to face adversity, right? And there's a big, especially when I was in my 20s, like life just isn't fair.
Yes.
But life isn't fair.
No,
right?
it's not.
It's not.
No, it's not.
And every obstacle you overcome makes you the person you are.
Yes,
So
I believe that.
They always say, like, one of the questions I always get is, what would you redo in your career? And the answer is nothing.
Nothing.
Because I wouldn't be who I am or where
Exactly.
I am if I went back and redid things.
Yeah, I was just talking to my friend Marvin yesterday, and he was telling me, like, because I was, like, having a bad day or whatever. And I need to help people. Like, that's my purpose in life. So I was telling him, like, oh, man, I'm going through this, I'm going through that. He's like, God gave you that because you have to go through this in order to help others.
Yes.
You have to see the exact amount of pain and the exact amount of things that you have to go through so that you can help others.
You need to make mistakes because growth comes from mistakes.
Yes.
And when bad things happen, you learn how to recognize how other people feel when they're going through those things.
Yes.
So it gives you a greater sense of empathy and you become a better human being.
Yes. That's why it's like so intriguing, like you telling your story and how you were like didn't have enough money to stay in London and finish school, right? So
I finished school.
Yeah, you finished school, but it was
I couldn't stay and wait to find a job.
Yeah, so that was like a situation that you went through. Like, so now when you get elected, because you will, when you see that people are down on their luck, like you could understand that because you've been through it. You know what I mean? So that's why it's good to have you.
Absolutely, and I have an event tonight, so I was preparing some talking points this morning.
Yes.
And I said I really wanted to bring it back more towards the idea that you really can't judge a person until you've walked a mile in his or her shoes.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
So our life experiences bring us to where we are and always move us forward, whether those life experiences are good or bad.
Yes. I'm gonna switch it a little bit, like just a tiny bit.
Oh, we're getting serious now.
Yeah, you know it. How did you know
tell.
that? How do you feel about the recidivism rate in this area?
The rate of recidivism in this area is better than the rate of recidivism in other areas.
Okay.
I will say that.
Okay.
And part of the reason for that are the diversionary programs. So not necessarily the specialty courts, but also IP court and RIP court, the intermediate punishment programs.
Yes.
And
do they still have debts?
DATS, drug
Is
and
that still
alcohol.
going? Yeah. Oh, they still have that.
Yeah, drug and alcohol treatment services is still there, going strong. So I looked up some statistics last night, and Lackawanna County, I think, adjudicated there were 3,000 some odd cases that went through the criminal courts in
Yes.
Lackawanna County. So the rate of DUI cases has decreased, the rate of drug cases has decreased,
yes,
the rate of weapons cases has increased.
oh,
So obviously, recidivism is a multifaceted problem.
yes it is.
There's no one good answer to it, and I think there are a lot of societal factors that go into it. Economic status,
Yes,
education,
upbringing,
different family units.
yes,
So I don't want to say, I know there's a lot of studies and there's an organization on the idea of failure to father, encouraging fathers to be more active in their
Yes.
children's lives.
step up,
Yeah. So I think all of these factors come together
Yes.
and create a cycle where maybe someone just can't break it.
Yes.
Also, a lot of recidivism is the first crime was a drug crime, right? A petty drug crime.
yes,
And we've seen our drug laws evolve where
Yes.
that crime that a person may have committed 10 years ago
Yes.
is now no longer a federal sentence but a slap on the wrist.
yeah,
But how do you undo what that person went through 10
You-
years ago by going to federal prison, right?
you can't, it's like, if you get like a small case and then you have a criminal record at this point, and then you go do your time if you have to do time, and then you come home, and then you go and try to get a job, and then it's just like over for your life. Like, I never understood that, like, but with drug court, they do have a way where they expunge your record.
But you have to complete drug court and then you have to be good for a year afterwards before
Yeah.
you're eligible for that expungement.
Yeah, so you actually have to work for it. You have to work for it.
Part of when I was a law clerk, I worked extensively in the specialty courts. And I will tell you that part of the problem that I saw and would be one of the issues that I would like to address
Yes.
is if you don't have family support, sometimes it's very hard to complete the drug court program.
Yes.
Because even if you have community support and you have support of all the providers that you're working with, sometimes you need a ride somewhere.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need someone to watch your kid.
You understand.
I get it.
Yes.
I get it because, I mean, it's a lot. Like
It is.
90 meetings in 90 days. I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
I used to say, geez, like this is like, it's like full time.
Yes.
And then you're expected to have a job too.
Yes.
So
Yes.
how do you tell your employer, oh, sorry, I have to leave because I have to go to my 11 o'clock meeting?
Yes.
That's not.
No, it's not. That's like a good thing too. Like you actually, cause I'm an empath. Like I have the capability to put myself in other people's shoes.
Yeah, me too.
And that's what you did. You just put yourself in other people's shoes.
It's hard being an empath.
It
isn't
is, and you feel other people's pain, and oh, you're gonna be a judge dealing with that. But that is a great thing that you. Oh wow, that just got me excited. That got me excited. That's a great thing because some people don't care, and that'll get me to my next question. Like, how do you feel about? Say if somebody's dealing with a narcissist and they come up, we're just gonna work a scenario. You're the judge, which you will be. You're there. Somebody comes up and they come into court with a narcissist, and the narcissist is saying all this bad stuff about this person that's not true, and this person just wants to move on with their life. Like, how would you dictate, I guess, like, how to maneuver that? But you're an empath, so I get it. You probably will.
So, like we were talking about before we started, I did family law for many years.
Yes.
And there were lots of mental health evaluations that were ordered on both sides. You know, my client or the other client.
Yes.
And narcissism is a problem because in order to move forward and repair situations, you have to admit that you're wrong.
You have to take accountability.
Correct.
That's the big. Wow, this is crazy. Go ahead. Yeah, you can't grow without accountability.
Yeah.
But when you're in the courts dealing with somebody that can't take accountability, it's just like you're not moving.
Like even as an attorney in those situations, sometimes you just feel like bashing your head against the wall. Because
Yes.
no matter what you do,
say or do
or say, or how many mental health evaluations you have ordered, you still have a person who is just not willing to say, maybe there's a different way.
Yeah, no, they have.
Maybe I need to start with working on myself.
Yeah.
It's always, well, someone else did this, someone else did
The
this. someone else
victim.
did this. Yeah.
The victim. And that's
And
why, go ahead,
the
sorry.
victim mentality.
The victim, everything is somebody else's fault. And that's what I do. Like, I really, am into, like, that's a passion of mine, to help people get out of narcissistic entanglements. Like, if, like, once you get out of it, and then you have to, like, grow, and then nobody understands either, and then you're going to court and you're dealing with this person that wants to just ruin you. Yeah, it's just weird.
And for sure, I think in my experience, when there is sabotage, and I think these narcissistic scenarios happen most in family law and custody cases.
Yes.
With parenting.
Yes.
I think that the judges do recognize when there is sabotage.
Oh, okay.
And as they can't always do something about it.
Yeah, they
do you know what I mean? So that's where the issue of adequate representation comes in.
Yes.
Because you have, as an attorney, to present these facts to the judge.
And you don't have the evidence, like, unless you videotaped your whole relationship where this person was walking 10 feet ahead of you or treating you like a stranger.
Yeah.
It's a very hard thing to deal with. Like, it's a very hard thing.
It's almost like the person who's the actual victim of the narcissism.
Looks like
narcissism looks like they're making stuff up, or they start to look crazy.
You look crazy.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I've seen it so many times. My gosh, you're bringing me back to, like, all my custody cases. But you, as an attorney, I did work a lot with my clients to say, forget about what they're doing, or do your best to not let it bother you, and you do your best to parent these children properly, and we will present that evidence to the court.
Yes.
And they're, you don't win every time.
No, you don't.
So I'll just give you an example of one of the most tragic cases I had. We had a woman who had a PFA against her husband.
Yes.
And he went to a treatment program. He went to a mental health and a drug and alcohol treatment program because it was like a long history of abuse. She thought in her mind that the abuse was because of his addiction problems, but ultimately I think he was a true narcissist.
Yes.
We went to court, and this was in Luzerne County, so it went to lift the PFA. That's what she wanted to do. And I just had this feeling like something didn't sound right, So I made the judge give her the full colloquy. Like, there's a long colloquy you can do. And I said, please just colloquy her all the way, because I want her to have to answer multiple questions about whether she really does want to lift this PFA.
Yes.
Like, as an attorney, it's my job to zealously advocate for my client and represent them. Part of that means you have to do what they ask you to do.
Yes.
Right? I don't get to have an opinion on her decision.
Yeah, you do.
I can give her my advice, but I have to do what she wants.
What she asks.
So the judge lifted the PFA. The very next day, the husband came and killed her and then killed himself. Yeah.
And that's why it's like a very serious subject for me. Like, I really have to, I feel like I have to help people get out of these situations, the best way.
She just kept falling victim to his rhetoric.
They say the average amount of times that you leave a narcissistic relationship breaks up is 7 before you wake up. Mm-hmm. And through that 7, it's abuse to the point where, like, you then have to, once you get out of it, you're like born again. You got to figure out everything yourself.
Yeah.
But the good things start happening to you because when you're not around somebody that's empty inside.
And that other person's always trying to keep you down.
Yeah,
so,
hating.
And I mean, part of the reason I waited, I just got married in June, and I waited a long time.
Yes.
And I was in quite a few relationships. They just, that you never want to be with someone who's going
to say negative things
or be passive aggressive or pull those games like you.
Gaslighting.
I'll tell everybody out there, like, wait, your true partner will come. Judge Bryce always used to tell me there's a lid for every pot.
Yeah, there you go.
And I never believed him. When I met my husband, I was like, oh, I think I found it.
Yes. And then it also comes from upbringing too, like, because we think that abuse is like normalized. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And then that's why somebody's able to come into your life and do that. I like my rule in life now that I've woken up is if somebody says 3 negative things to me without 1 positive, it's over. That's how I live.
Yeah. And I think as people working in the community and everything, like, you have to do your best to stay positive and stay in a mind space where you can put that positive message out. And I always like to say, like, okay, well, I mean, that person on the road was mean, or they, you know, gave me the finger, or they did this, but I don't know what happened in their day.
Yes.
Like maybe they have a child with cancer, or,
yes.
you know, they're taking care of a
think
parent
the same
with
way.
dementia.
Nice.
You never know. You never know. I think the same way. Wow.
So in the courtroom, you know, as an attorney, you go in there and sometimes the other like your opposing counsel is just on fire and you're like, what happened to you today? You know? We have to argue, I know, for a living, but and then the judge has to sit there and kind of manage everything. So I think being in all parts of the jobs in the courtroom will really help me with this position.
Yes, it will. It will. It'll definitely help you.
The different things you have to deal with, and then all my dealings with clients, like just being with different personalities, you know. So when someone hires you to be their lawyer, they don't know you.
Yeah, they don't know you.
Right.
So it has to be some sense of trust.
Yeah.
It definitely
they pay you to do a job for them, and they're trusting that you're going to do the job. So that's back to the accountability.
The accountability.
Yeah. That's like one of my pet peeves, like accountability. Don't take the work if you're not going to do it. You're going to do the job. Do it to the best of your ability. You give somebody your word,
you got to hold on to that.
Yeah.
And you got to do it.
Yeah.
Another question. How do you feel about being a judge in a Commonwealth area?
Like
it's different.
The Court of Common Pleas?
Yes.
Yeah, it's different. It's the court of first instance. So it's called the Common Pleas because that's where the common person brings their issues.
Yes.
So your divorces go there, your custody cases, PFAs, breach of contract, any civil litigation. It's not where you bring questions about whether this law is constitutional or not. That goes to the Commonwealth Court,
yes.
Which Pennsylvania is unique because we have a Commonwealth Court. No other states do. So we actually have 4 courts.
Okay.
We have Common Pleas, Commonwealth, Superior, and Supreme.
Okay.
So Common Pleas is probably the hardest job because you take the testimony and the evidence in cases and the volume, the workload. So like I said, criminal court did over 3,000 cases last year. Civil court, the outstanding cases in the civil department for Lackawanna County, I think, were like 14,000.
How do you get these numbers? I looked all this stuff up. I try to do research on you.
I'll text you the AOPC numbers.
I Googled so many things and I'm like...
The AOPC is the governing body for the courts.
Okay.
So that's the body that makes sure, like, you know, Rule 600, where you have to try a criminal case within a certain amount of time. They make sure. And if you, as a judge, do not move your cases through fast enough, and you violate Rule 600, you get reprimanded. So it's not like you're, you know,
just
I'm a judge, I don't answer to anybody.
There's no free,
No. So, and every case is documented, every type of case. So I'll send you, it's broken down into literally like PFAs, all the domestic cases, everything's broken down.
There's a paper trail for everything. There's a paper trail. My next question would be, how many people were actually running up for this election?
There were 3 candidates in the primary.
Yes.
So we have a 2-party system, obviously a Republican nominee and a Democratic nominee.
Oh, it goes just the same way as like, okay.
Yep. So my opponent won the Democratic nomination and I won the Republican nomination in May.
Okay.
Which was, I guess, surprising to a lot of people, but I knew I was doing the right thing and I just had confidence that we were going to do it.
Yeah, God is walking with you. Like, it's all a process. How do you feel about another question too, like immigration laws?
That's a hot topic right
now. It is.
We have a bit of a crisis at the border, which everyone sees on the news every day. You know, I think it's my parents immigrated to the United States. So in my mind, the United States is still the land of opportunity. The American dream is alive and well. I mean, look at it. I'm a first-generation American, and I'm a nominated candidate for a judicial election. Like, I don't know where else that happens in the world, right? So I think we will always be a land of immigrants, and it's up to us to elect individuals and legislators and judges who recognize that there's no need to be an insular country. Like, what makes us great is our diversity.
Yes.
Our different cultures. Like, look at how diverse Lackawanna County has become now. Did you know there's a Nepalese restaurant?
No.
I mean, that's crazy, right? when I grew up in Clarkstown, there was McDonald's and 2 stoplights up the street. That's it. I remember getting a sushi restaurant when I was in college, and I thought that was literally Japanese. That was the greatest thing ever. Like, we always had Osaka, but they just had hibachi. They didn't always have sushi.
Yes.
And when Kyoto opened with sushi, it was like the greatest thing ever. I'm like, oh my goodness.
You know what's funny? I just tried sushi like 2 or 3 weeks ago, and it was good.
Do you like
My
it?
whole life, I never had sushi.
I know. It's hard to get over the idea of the raw fish, but once you try it, it doesn't.
It's good.
It doesn't taste like.
And it's cold, so it's like I just had like a negative view on it, but then I tasted, like, oh, this is good. The little green sauce. What do you call that?
Wasabi.
Yeah. You know what I did? I accidentally.
I can already.
I'm gonna tell you what I did. I thought that was the sushi.
Oh,
so I grabbed that and put the whole thing. Oh man!
Like
how did that work out?
It didn't work out good at all. It didn't work out good at all. I'm like.
My stepsons used to love when we would go out for sushi before. Well, one moved to California and the other one's away at Penn State now. So our favorite thing to do is to go out for sushi for dinner, and they would have wasabi eating contests. So they would see who could eat a bigger chunk of wasabi.
You could go to the hospital for that.
Yeah, that's what I told them. I go, I'm not taking you to the emergency room.
No, I felt like choking. Like, so how do you feel about low income? You know what I mean? Like people in that area, like of life, like, and they're making mistakes, like kids, like doing these things, like, you know.
Socioeconomic factors, I think, will always affect us.
Yes.
As humans, right? Ideally, we would like everyone to have food security, you know, an ability to secure child's care, and to be able to go to work and contribute to society. I know going and getting a job is not a reality for many people because they're the primary caretaker of the children, and child's care is very expensive.
Yes, it is.
So I think programs to allow or to provide for subsidized child care would be helpful. I think I don't ever meet someone who's happy being in poverty or being poor. You know what I mean? And that's part of the American dream also.
Yeah, they didn't choose that to just be like, okay.
I think that becomes a cyclical issue also.
Yes.
If you're born into certain circumstances, it's sometimes hard to escape them.
It is. It is.
Part of the...
But possible.
For sure possible. I mean, I'm a big proponent in hard work, but you have to have a little bit of luck.
Yes, you do.
And you have to believe in yourself. And sometimes, I mean, mentorship programs are great.
Yes.
I know one of my good friends is a school counselor, and she works really hard to make sure that everyone feels like they have the same opportunities.
Yes.
She'll work hard if she knows she has a student who can't afford to go to college, to give them the right advice they need to secure scholarships, to secure grants. The programming is there. The access to the programming is problematic.
Is the problem.
So when I was a law clerk, I had a defendant who came in and he was in drug court, and was facing this, he was in IP court. He was facing similar problems to what you faced. Just like an inability to do the programming.
Yes.
Not because he didn't want to, because he just couldn't.
It was too difficult.
All the pieces of his life together to do it, right?
Yes.
So he had 2 young children. Part of his probation or his sentence was to have to remain employed.
Yes.
He couldn't keep the job. He got fired from his job because his kids got sick and he didn't have anyone to watch his kids.
Yeah, so what do you do?
What do you do?
Yeah.
And he came and he said, I don't know what to do. I can't go back to jail. And I said, okay, come sit with me. Let's go through all of it. Like there's books in the county of all the different programming options.
Yes.
But if you don't know, or you don't know someone who's going to help you, how do you do it? You know?
How do you do it?
It's a difficult landscape to navigate as an outsider.
Yes.
And insiders oftentimes are too busy or not willing or just don't think that we need to disseminate this knowledge.
Yes.
You know, make it public. So
with you, you're an empath though, so you feel what's going on. You know, like you could feel, and you put yourself in other people's shoes. Like, so that's just dope. Like, so you're a step ahead.
I mean, that's beneficial, but that comes being an empath, I think, comes from a lot of bad life experience too.
Yeah.
You know, like you have to go through a lot.
You gotta go through a lot.
Excuse my language. You have to go through a lot of shit.
Yeah,
to get this way.
I do have a question though. So this last piece that you guys talked about, when somebody's going through this, like let's say he got, like, you know, the judge told him he gotta go through this program and keep your job and whatever, then he couldn't do this. What would you do as a judge, like to help him? Like, is there like you be able to give him alternate, like, or is it the sentence that he got is that's it, and you gotta complete it, or
judges' hands are bound to a certain extent by mandatory
guidelines,
right?
Yeah.
Sentencing guidelines. So the diversionary programs were created by the courts and the legislature together, right? But ultimately, our mandatory minimums
have to
contributing to the rate of recidivism,
yes.
contributing to people saying, I give up and I can't do this programming, you know?
Yes.
I'd rather take the sentence and get it over with.
That's what I did. That's what I said. I said, all right, I can't do this.
That's a legitimate, real life question that
yes.
I don't know the answer.
That's we make a movie, by the way, with the question.
No, it's true. I mean, I know, like, the best you can do, I think, as the sitting judge on the case is get programming involved and refer the defendant to, or the client, like when you're in the specialty courts, you're the client, not the defendant. Refer him or her to whoever the service providers, right? But I don't have all these issues, and I know how hard life is. How hard it is to like take the dogs out, make sure there's food in the fridge, make sure there's gas in my car. You know, like I've been driving around with 2 bald tires for 2 months, but you're
so down to earth.
I didn't know. Like I looked at them the other day. I go, these are bald. Like these are really
you're
bald.
so down to earth. Like, and then you would think that a certain, like a judge would be like not like you. You know what I mean? Like that's so cool.
The biggest part of my platform is that judges are people too, right? So we are getting the faith and vote of the community to stand in a place where we judge upon other members of our society, right? So the best thing I can tell everybody is I'm a human. Like I'm human just like everybody else. I just have the career experience and have decided that this is the path I want to pursue. Right? And I believe that my life experience makes me qualified for it too. But the position comes from the people.
It comes from the people.
Right? So you want someone up there who you
is
just
relatable.
And it understands the issues. Like everyone says, oh, what issues do we have to overcome in Lackawanna County? Overcoming the issues is secondary. You need to identify the issues. You need to be involved close to the issues, close to the struggles that everyone is going through, all the people who are in your courtroom, because how do you justify delivering a sentence if you don't understand
what's going on? You have to understand what's going on. My last question would be, what would you say to a 15-year-old NISHA Aurora? My daughter's name's Aurora, actually.
Get out.
Yeah, my 7-year-old. Shout out Aurora.
Okay.
But anyway, what would you say?
To 15-year-old NISHA, have faith in yourself.
Yes.
Be confident.
Yes.
Because whatever you want to achieve, you will. And enjoy your time alone. Enjoy every moment of high school, enjoy college, because once you get out of school, the real world is hard.
Yep. The real world that's the truth.
So I sent my 21-year-old stepson went away to Penn State, as I said before, right? And I said to him before he left, I go, I don't want you to worry about us. Like, we're fine.
Yes.
You go, do
and
you.
enjoy yourself.
Yeah. and he's really enjoying, like, you know, being independent and cooking for himself and all those great things. So being 15, man, I wouldn't go back there for anything in the world.
Yeah.
Like, you give me $1 million and I would go back to 15.
I ain't going back.
I had glasses, and no, I think I got rid of my glasses when I was like 12. But like those big thick ones and a unibrow.
I guess I have one more question. What would be your bit of advice for anyone?
Well, this is
It's a broad question. Sorry, that was crazy. But what would be your advice to anyone that's trying to follow their dreams and pursue their purposes?
Work hard.
Yeah, I would say the same.
Work hard and realize, like we were talking about, every obstacle ultimately will bring you closer to where you need to be.
Yes.
Work hard and have faith, and don't get discouraged, because not everything is going to go your way, but not everything is meant to go your way.
No, it's not. It's not. Thank you. Thank you guys for watching. We really, really appreciate it. Nisha's super dope, as you could see. It was a great interview, and stay tuned. Aware Hafiz. Stay safe.
I just want to say November 2nd is the election.
Let's do that. Sorry, you go, and then you should close it out.
All right, so November 2nd is the election. I need everybody to go out and vote, and if you're watching this and you think I'm your candidate, please tell 5 people in your life to go out and vote for me too, because that's how we're going to make this change, and that's how we're going to keep progressing as a community.
Bow.
I'm just really trying to find me. It gets more harder day by day, but I'm close, you see. Mixed with